We have no headlines today. So let's begin what's trending. In the wake of several petitions filed at the Election Tribunal after the just concluded general election, many Nigerians now have their eyes set on the judiciary. And so, a story emanating from Nasarawa State about judges of area courts in the state without law degrees is generating a debate on social media. Well, on Wednesday, the Speaker of the State's Assembly, Ibrahim Abdullahi, during a consideration of a report by the Committee on Judiciary, Ethics and Privileges on a bill to amend the Nasarawa Area Courts Law 2022, advised judges of area courts to get the required educational qualification within 10 years or risk losing their jobs. The Speaker highlighted the principal law which provides that for one to be a judge of the upper area court, one must be a legal practitioner without at least 4 years post-call. And for one to be a judge of an area court, you must be a legal practitioner with at least 3 years post-call. Well, the committee recommended the window period of 10 years to be granted to the affected judges to enroll into a degree program of law in order for them to be called to bar. Well, the Speaker fixed May 9th for the third reading of the bill. Dr. Abati, you know, I cannot comment on this subject as much as I would like to, but I would like some clarification on this case. I mean, they are judges, but they don't have a law degree. I mean, what is
okay.
Area court to start with, the judge of an area court?
The jurisdiction of area courts, customary courts, and all that. This is an area court in the northern part of Nigeria. The question to ask is, what does the enabling law, what does it say about the mode of appointment of judges to these area courts? Many of these area courts in the north, they deal with Islamic law anyway. So what does the law say? Now, in this particular case, we're told that the Nasarawa House of Assembly is trying to amend the law, and it's in the process that this came out that, look, what the principal law says is that for you to be a judge of an upper area court, you must have been a lawyer 4 years post-call. Of an area court, as the lower court in the hierarchy there, the hierarchy of courts, you must be a lawyer 3 years post-call. So the question you now ask is, how did certain judges get onto the bench of these area courts? Now they are being given 10 years to go and acquire a law degree to be qualified judges. So you ask the question, why is the proposal in the amendment 10 years? Because that would mean go and get a JAMB form, get admitted, go and study law, and then, go to law school, and then come back to your well, if there is also strike in between, then of course they may be on that program for the next 10 years. So while they are back in school, would those judges, would they be sitting? So there are questions to be asked there. However, the other thing to know is that at certain levels in the courts, there are lay magistrates. These are persons who are not lawyers, who are, lay magistrates. Some people are justices of the peace. They also function within the Nigerian judiciary. And the principle there is that law basically is about common sense. Because, what do you say? What the law says in the thinking of a reasonable member of society. But these lay magistrates, they won't go as far as dealing with a very serious matters. So we need to look at the jurisdiction of those area courts involved and why those judges were appointed in the first place if they are not lay magistrates and they are supposed to have certain level of qualifications. And then amending the law and say, take 10 years to go and get a degree, then what happens to the dispensation of justice in this regard? Absolutely. So the bench is it's just like any other profession. You can't, if you are not a carpenter, you can't go into carpentry. It will cause problems. If you don't know the law, you can't say you want to pronounce upon the law, except you are a member of a jury or a lay magistrate.
Absolutely. So the story is coming as reactions trailed President-elect Bola Ahmed Tinubu's comments, which he made on Thursday during the inauguration of Justice Ndu Magistrate Court Complex in Port Harcourt. Tinubu stated that his administration will put incentives and policies in place to make corruption unattractive for judges and other Nigerian workers, adding that the temptation for corruption would reduce if the right incentives that guarantee a conducive working atmosphere are implemented.
This is the way to fight corruption. You don't expect your judges, and you have been contributing very well to this. You don't expect your judges to live in squalor, to dispense justice in squalor. This is part of the changes that is necessary in our policy think tank. We must fight corruption, and we definitely must look at the other side of the coin. If you don't want your judges to be corrupt, you've got to pay attention to their welfare.
Well, all right. You know that this statement has generated a lot of reactions. I mean, basically because of, the controversial election. He has a petition at the election tribunal. A lot of Nigerians have reacted to his statement. I'll take one from Daniel, who wrote, Buhari promised to fight corruption before he assumed office. But look at how things turned out. Tinubu is promising the same, whereas he was declared president-elect after a biased election. And majority of the people he's working with have questionable characters. What a joke. Well, another Twitter user there goes, his name is John. He says, the best way to fight judicial corruption or corruption among judges is granting them complete autonomy, especially financial autonomy. Else, no matter what any governor does for judges or for the judiciary, it will not stop corruption in the judiciary. He who plays the piper dictates the tune.
The truth has to be said. You see, I would like to comment on both stories. The first story is about the judges. I'm not surprised. It's the kind of country we live in, Audrey. As from today, please, you can call me George. Because it's obvious that you don't need to have...
Judge Rufai.
Yes, George. I like it. George. Dr. Abati, please call me George.
You have to have a law degree.
You don't have to have a law degree in Nigeria. That's the sad reality. And that's the kind of country, I think... You see, the kind of absurdities that happen in Nigeria are kind of things Franz Kafka talked about in one of his novels. So this is a Kafkaesque reality in our country today. It's just like all sorts of people are being called engineers without any engineering degree. As long as you can repair a fan somewhere, say engineer. I used to say, just like people that are being called engineer, they even learn structural engineering or anything. But that's the kind of society we live. Concerning this, what's it called? President-elect saying he wants to make corruption unattractive. How ironic is a state governor supposed to be building court complexes in the first place? So how ironic on a day you are launching a project that is supposed to be an anomaly, because this does not amplify the independence of the judiciary. You say you want to make it unattractive. I gave an analysis this morning. The best way to make it unattractive, apart from financial independence and autonomy of the judiciary, is the fact that you should whittle down the power of politicians. Because you see, once politicians get into power, what it does is it captures state for its own benefit to be able to have a money arsenal. Then what does it do? It permeates every sector of government and governance, from the judiciary to every sector to work in his favor, even up to law enforcement. So once he has his own retinue of retainers that feed off him, he becomes an ecosystem on his own accord. And how did he do it? He did it with the capacity of state capture, not even his own money. And that's why I see people get into politics in Nigeria and all of a sudden they become multi-billionaires. So reduce the attraction in government first, reduce the capacity of politicians to be able to do anything based on the level of accountability. Then the second part is improve upon the economy and the social structure of Nigeria in such a way that a take-home pay of a judge we know will actually take him home. Judges will be well remunerated. There are cases about courts where the generator is not working. Oji, I had a case in court for 3 years, and I think my experiences are still things I have to write about.
Wow.
So you will see that the dispensation of justice is problematic as it is today. And that's why you can see that corruption can easily permeate. But largely, most of the corruption is caused by the political class. Because once they capture every paraphernalia of states, what they do is they influence who become judges, who sits on the court and everything. So once they do that, you can't remove corruption. But how ironic, on a day that they are launching something that is not supposed to be, because a state governor has no business building all of this. As a state governor, when you build courtrooms and everything, which judge wants to give a judgment against you? It's almost impossible. Yeah. So we know the problem, but you see, in that Kafkaesque attitude, we keep doing things. And we want things to change. No, it won't change.
Well, I'll take this story before I come to you, Ayo, because you just made a valid point. How does a state governor build a facility for a judge?
Judge in the first place.
Well, you know, in another development, the president-elect, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has said that his banter with Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike during the inauguration of a flyover in Obiakpo local government area of Rivers State on Wednesday morning, in which he stated that he owes Wike nothing, was wrongly reported. Tinubu made the comment during a banquet dinner, adding that he cannot even approve a dime until he's inaugurated, and that there can only be one president at a time. Let's take a look.
I had changed a banter with the governor, Governor Wike. If you take me seriously, the question is, I'm a president-elect. I have no signature for expenditure until sworn in. How can I make commitments? I cannot sign a dime of Nigerian money or expenditure. Now, there can only be one president at a time.
All right, there you have it. The president-elect is saying that, you know, his banter was misreported. You know, yesterday, the first thing I said, but he's been an advocate for true federalism where states are supposed to, you know, take control of their resources, infrastructure, and all of that. I don't know what your thoughts are with all of these.
Okay, it would have saved us a lot of analysis yesterday if you had just simply added, I owe you nothing until May 29, 2023, so that we wouldn't have, because one of the words we had used as presidential, hopeful that, you know, the scam that some of the governors, I'm not saying the governor, this is a scam, it has to be investigated to find that out, but that some of these scams in terms of repairing state roads, very extensive conversation. If you didn't watch yesterday's show, please definitely go back to it. So he now coming back to say that let me use we, because they're the only ones that I know, we misreported, didn't credit him properly. In fact, he said it was poverty of the mind and poverty of thinking for you to just insinuate or deduce from his statement that this was what he meant. I'm sorry that then we gave the benefit of the doubt, because what we had said yesterday, based on his statement, was that it wouldn't be business as usual. So obviously, inversely, what he's saying is that come after May 29, when he does become president, there would be a refund when he's able to sign expenditure. I hope I haven't now misrepresented again or misreported what he said. But then this goes back to the statement he made earlier about corruption and incentives for making corruption unattractive. These are part of the issues that we are talking about with regards to ending corruption. If state governments are allowed, despite the many instances where it has been proven as false, and a number of times under this administration it has been said that to be stopped, even though there have been exceptions that have been made, then we will continue to see corruption thrive in that way. And that's why beyond the judiciary, he said he was going to set up a think tank to address corruption. Beyond the judiciary is to look at the very root cause of corruption and what incentivizes corruption. Things like this, matters like this do incentivize, because guess what? What would stop another governor to do everything and anything to ensure that he delivers a state? Because at the end of the day, he knows that there would be some sort of reward. Let me put it that way, in terms of, I mean, look at that state banquet. I'd like Governor Nyesom Wike to release how much he spent on this 2-day visit. And then when Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is inaugurated, I hope they will not do another receive or congratulatory 2-day visit with a holiday in Rivers State to celebrate him. Just so many things around corruption, around waste of taxpayers' money that we need to discuss beyond even the speeches that are being made.
Absolutely. All right, then we'll take another story. As the Nigerian government intensifies efforts to evacuate more citizens from war-torn Sudan, about 200 students were reportedly stranded en route to the Sudanese border in Egypt. The news is coming after the first batch of 376 evacuees arrived at Abuja from Sudan via Egypt on Wednesday night. The second batch of evacuees are expected to arrive the country today, Friday. Well, according to the situation report, the stranded students were in dire need of support as the money charged to move them to the border was unaffordable. Well, let's take a listen to the account of some of the students who arrived on Wednesday night on the Air Peace flight and the NAF C-130.
I know the government are trying, but we still have a lot of students. What we experience there is not meant to be explained by anybody, not even, let's forget about being a Nigerian. It's not supposed to be experienced by anybody. We've been stranded for like 2 weeks. 2 weeks sleeping on the streets, sleeping in the car, and so on.
My experience, actually, at the beginning it was very nice, but when the war started, everything changed, and everything changed for worse. So especially when we started hearing the sound of bombs and bombshell and bullets, it was so frightening, and it was terrible.
Yeah, they're my brothers and sisters. They're there in Port Sudan, so I want them to be back, because really this has been depressing and frustrating. I don't know. I don't think they're going to survive another 1 week or another.
Very sad. Everything I had gone.
So can you just tell me what was your experience like? I know.
All right, I'll give you all information when the time comes.
That gentleman could not even speak. I mean, it's very heartbreaking to hear the account of these students. In the meantime, a video shared on Twitter by the chairperson of Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, Abike Dabiri, showing the group of Nigerians airlifted by the Nigerian Air Force aircraft C-130 from Egypt, singing the national anthem, has made the rounds on social media. Let's take a look. I mean, I'm so heartbroken watching that video right there with those young people in that, NAF plane. I mean, you could see that they were completely uncomfortable. But I mean, Nigeria is not the only country that sent their artillery out there to evacuate their citizens. But you can see the frustration in their faces, having spent hours at the border, the Egyptian border. That young gentleman, almost even refused to sing the national anthem. I believe there were about 94 of them in that aircraft. But even also listening to the account of those students, what they went through is quite heartbreaking. Dr. Abati.
Well, the lesson of this is that war is not something anybody should wish for. Mm-hmm. The people in Nigeria who always say, we will cause problems, mm-hmm. we will cause war, we will pull Nigeria down. Well, when you find yourself in a war situation, there will be casualties, children, pregnant women, as we saw in one video. And that is why the promotion of peace is always important, because the extent of the collateral damage involved in a war situation, you really do not know how far it will go. These are innocent persons going about their studies, businesses in Sudan, only to be caught in this crossfire between two generals who seem determined to destroy their own country. So it's unfortunate that they found themselves, in that kind of situation. Our argument has always been the Nigerian government helping our citizens in distress. Well, this C-130 that was sent there, well, apparently it's not meant for passenger flights.
No.
But they just needed to evacuate the people there by all means. And our Nigerian Air Force crew that went there, 14 of them, with this Hercules C-130, also went with food supplies to help. They just needed to get those persons out of danger zone, and they brought them home. Now, you talked about the other Nigerians who are still there, 200 of them, who are stranded on the way. The other time, it was a tire that caught fire, we were told. This time around, it's, the fact that they are stranded, they can't pay, and all of that. Well, whatever NEMA or NITCOM or the Ministry of Foreign Affairs can do to go to the rescue of those persons and make sure that they get to the Sudanese border. They are going towards Wada Aifa, we're told, that they are assisted in that regard. The ones that have returned home, we're told that Aliko Dangote Foundation has offered to give them 100,000 naira each. The federal government of Nigeria is also giving 100,000 naira each. MTN Foundation is giving recharge credit card or whatever, of about 25,000 naira. Other well-meaning Nigerians should move in. We should all be our brothers' keepers. But we're told that there are millions of Nigerians still stranded in Sudan. So this should not be just for television purposes, giving interviews, asking people to sing a national anthem. The operation should continue. More people should be brought home. Well, okay, we thank Air Peace. Then Azman, we thank Azman too. Hopefully Azman is not going to submit an invoice, and also we'll commend the Nigerian Air Force that is, making itself useful in rescuing people who are in a terrible situation. As for the national anthem, well, it's okay. When you sing your country's national anthem, a national anthem is a symbol of nationalism, of nationhood. So when you sing the national anthem, it's also a way of identifying with your country. If it would have been a different matter if they had been singing the old national anthem. Now, when you sing the old national anthem, that's a statement of rejection and protest. So for them to sing the national anthem, at least it reminds you of your connection with your land of birth.
We'll take our final story. A video that made the rounds on social media showed a former commissioner for forestry in Ogun State, Tunji Akinyosi, in an altercation with a female activist, Biodun Thomas. The altercation began after Akinyosi, who is also a member-elect of the House of Representatives from a federal constituency in Ogun State, allegedly hit a hawker with his car in the Onikan area of Lagos State. The hawker, however, has denied the allegations, insisting in a press statement that his car did not hit the hawker as claimed, but that he had offered to be responsible for the victim's medical treatment during the altercation, and that if the hospital established that the victim was unhurt, he would have to pay for damages. That was when the altercation became heightened. Let's take a look at that video before we come back for a discussion.
Okay, if nobody else knows you here, I know you very well. I know you very well. You are. Don't tell me that. Don't tell me that. Don't tell me that. Don't tell me that. You are a House of Assembly. You are a House of Rep member. You are stupid. You are foolish. You are foolish. You have no woman feelings, Oga. By his pretending. What do you mean by his pretending, Oga? What do you mean by his pretending? You are a human being like him. You are a human being like him. What do you mean by his pretending? What do you mean by his pretending? What his pretending is
I'm going to injure you.
You will
Ayo, I'm coming to you. I mean, we've heard of assaults everywhere. I mean, this man is denying that he attacked that activist. I mean, assault is defined in different variations. And he said, clearly, we heard him say that, not unless they say it's doctored. He said, I will injure you. I mean, what does that mean?
Okay, so House of Reps member-elect Honorable Akinsi, there in an altercation. Thank God for
the house.
that's how I used the word elect. He's elect. Well, he'll be going to join his brother, Senator Elisha, but that's on the side. Because we have seen episodes of public officers who have, at least in that case of Senator Elisha, who have assaulted women, seen on camera, and they didn't get in terms of repercussions of it. It was just a slap on the wrist, based on what they did. It was clear what he did. Irrespective of what happened, when you're in public and you're a public office holder, no matter how provoked you are, assault can be verbal or can be physical. It can be actual, it can be grievous in terms of bodily harm. So even though he didn't touch the woman, his expressions, his intimidation, or the threat of assault in itself is a problem. And so the fact that he is, even though he's a member-elect, he's still a public office, he's still a public personality. Number one, on the basis, on the grounds of morality, examples, what are you showing? On the grounds of what is right and what is wrong, the woman can actually, write a petition or ask his people to reprimand him for his public show of disgrace.
Absolutely. Rufai, your brother there. Go ahead.
Why are you calling my brother?
You are from Ogun State.
No.
We need to go. We need to go.
No, go ahead.
We need to save time. There's no more time. Thank you very much.
Well, all right. I thought that we had about a minute, but thank you all for your great analysis on what's trending. Well, all right. That's all I have for you on what's trending today. I'll see you all tomorrow.